He says, Khalil, your opinion.
Sir.
Is it right, is it correct to do something ignoble if it serves the greater good?
Yes.
Can and should the law be broken in the greater service of upholding a more important law?
Yes.
This is a truism that many of our wall walkers don't understand. This is something that people in my position struggle with, and I see that you struggle with it as well.
Every day.
There's a man in Low Harbor named Balin.
Balin.
He's doing recruiting for this ship, for his captain. So I want you to shed your uniform, take on an alias, and go and sign up for that crew. I want you to learn something about that ship, something that we can pin on Prince Humbert and make him squirm.
It will be difficult. It will be difficult, as I did just shake down the ship.
Not 5 minutes before.
Yeah,
He grants you a sack of gold. Says, I've got a contact in the School of Senses. He can use magic to change your appearance, to make you look like something else. So understand, this is not an official edict of the Wall Walkers. This is overstepping our authority quite a bit. But if we could put pressure on the Jarl, and on his foreign prince, we might be able to get him to see our way of thinking, get some things changed.
Indeed.
And he slides the gold over and says that should be enough to facilitate a transformation in your appearance for some time.
Yes, sir. How long do you... Or I'll probably ask the other guy, the School of Senses, about how long this is going to take.
He says, we'll have to move quick. He says, in one more day is the festival, and at that time, that's when we think that Marthad will make his move.
All right, I'll do it.
Because I know I can trust you on this, Khalil.
You always could trust me.
Let me look something up just real quick. What is everybody else doing at this point?
I'm in the Craftsman's Ward, poking around the Guild of Song.
The Guild of
What
Song?
time is it?
What time do you need it to be for what you want to do? 'Cause we're
Well,
kind
it's
of
any time.
we're kind of treating time
My
very
time
vaguely right
constraint.
now.
Yeah, my time constraints are at dinner time. I have to go to dinner.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So we'll say you have time for one more daily action today before you have to go to the Nibiri dinner. Orphan goes to the Craftsman's Ward, to the Guild of Song. And who should she find there but Fred?
She brightens up and says hello to him.
Yeah, you enter this workshop. Very, very nice guild hall. And there are all manners of instruments for sale. This is where the instruments are built. The whole guild is dedicated to the building of instruments. And when he sees you walk in, he says, Orphan, well, fancy seeing you here. Who would have thought you had a heart?
Of course I have a heart. I have a heart, but what I don't have is an instrument. And I came here hoping that I could get one again.
So, well, there may be some trouble in that regard. You see, the essence of song, of music, it comes from a place inside, from a place of love and compassion, and I don't think you're cut out for it.
Well, you've never heard me play.
Sorry, I have a Pringle in my mouth.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I just cut out again.
No. A pretty sand elf, the Nalna Rin, is here with Fred. And you get the sense that they've been spending a little bit of time together.
Yeah.
I'd like to stop for a second and point out that on the spreadsheet, Naldarin is a man.
Oh, yeah, I mistyped that. But, I mean, it says Nalna, so... And anyway, what difference does that make? Are you saying it's wrong for Fred to kind of dip his toe in the...
Gives me a much deeper understanding of Fred. That's what I'm saying.
Hey man, Fred thinks all of it's cool. No, I just typed out. No, not Rin is a woman. And she doesn't say anything, but she regards the exchange that you and Fred have. So Fred asks, well, what dire infernal instrument does Orphan's black heart desire?
I just roll my eyes again. Say, a sham. Have you ever heard of it?
What is this instrument you're after, Nick? Are you just making up words? What are you...
No, it's in the It's in the PHP.
What is it? What actually
is it? Does it have horns?
It's kind of like a flute. It's like a long flute with a It's kind of like a trumpet.
Is it a hipster flute, Nick? Be real.
Yes, I picked the most obscure instrument I could find.
A hipster flute. Fred has not heard of this particular instrument, but Rin has. And she shows you one. What are they typically made of? Wood? Is this a wind instrument?
Yeah, it's a woodwind.
And she shows you one, and it's quite exuberant. It's 3 times the price, whatever listed in the PHP. Specifically because wood is hard to come by in Qisca.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
She says, well, we sell these. They're not particularly popular, but if you're skilled with it, I don't see why anything should stand in your way. She looks at Fred and says, surely more music in the world is better than fewer. He says, I suppose.
I want to see if I can play well enough to at least convince Fred that I'm not a terrible person on this sham. I'm gonna give it a try.
Okay, go ahead and roll it.
All right, let me see.
Charisma bonus plus proficiency bonus for the sham.
Okay. Let's see what I got here. Charisma plus 1.
Sham. That's not a word. That's all I'm saying. That's not a word. That's...
You play so poorly that Fred draws on you then and there.
Let's see. Yeah.
Here we go.
So
Music battle right now. Rap like bard rap battle. Let's go.
Fred takes out a golden fiddle.
I'm gonna botch this so badly. Yep. I get only a 12.
You play competently, but you've heard Fred play, and he's way better. So, Rin looks politely delighted at your song. Like, you played competently, you didn't make any major mistakes, the composition was a little dry by her standards. Fred, however, you don't seem to have swayed him at all. And Rin says, well, shall I wrap that for you?
How much does this cost?
What is the price in the PHP?
Oh, that's right, you said 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times, because it's a wood instrument, and wood is hard to come by in Qisca.
Trying to look that up. Give me 1 second here. Tools. Musical instrument sham listed. 2 gold pieces. So 6.
Yeah, 6 gold pieces.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll take this.
She wraps it up for you and hands it to you. She says, "So, are you a friend of Fred's? He's spoken of the horned orphan that he's fought alongside with."
Oh, I'd like to think I'm a great friend of his. We've spent many months together aboard the ship.
This conversation is happening aside, where Fred can't overhear.
Yeah.
He says, "I wonder then why he regards you so coolly now."
We had a disagreement the other day. There was... Sadly, one of our crewmen lost his life.
Well, that is sad.
And I have some reservations about bringing him back. You see, it was counter to his own will. He specifically required or requested that we not revive him. And Fred was so heartbroken that he couldn't bear the thought of not seeing his friend again. So he tried using a scroll we had, a revive dead. And I think that poor Fred, it failed. And I don't think it was through any fault of Fred's own. I think it was because, as I said, our fallen comrade had no desire to come back. I'm told that you can't raise the dead who don't wish to be raised. Fred, I think, takes it out on me instead of...
And she politely nods through your entire long explanation.
Yeah.
And then, at the end, she says, "Well, I've only known Fred for a short time, but it seems that while he loves passionately, he also is a fickle heart. Because I'm sure he'll get over it.
I hope so.
So we're having a party tomorrow for the festival, by invitation only. I would love for you to come and play that instrument.
Oh, I would be delighted to.
It's such a curious piece, and very few people play it, and a woman of your nature, I mean, surely you have music that would be new to our ears.
It was common where I come from, but where I come from is nowhere near here.
She says, well then, we'll look forward to having you tomorrow, and we won't tell Fred.
I look forward to coming.
And she tells you that this will be tomorrow night, dinner time, during the festival, during the main celebrations at the arena, that they're going to be gathering at the headquarters in the market ward of the Songbirds of Isis. And there will be performers from all over Qisca, from all of their guilds, and they would love for you to have a piece of that.
Awesome.
So, Eldove was going to go see the head of the Lamplighters Guild.
Right.
Okay, and what have you to say to Nal Karik? Well, first of all, is that who you're going to see, or?
Yeah, the head, yeah.
Okay.
My first interest is I'm just going to ask about their the ways they have of finding sorcerers. Like I'm just genuinely interested in how the guild functions as well.
Do you reveal that you're a sorcerer yourself? Do you reveal that you're a sorcerer yourself?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I didn't hear the "do
Cool.
you."
Because there's no test as such. There's no real way to determine whether one of our number has come into their talents or indeed the source of those talents. But when it happens, word does reach us, and we seek those people, those families out. Many of them, you understand, live in settlements far inland. Many of them are elves. So, the guild it's not actually a guild of sorcerers. Like, it's not... Like, they don't do any sorcerer training. Most of the members of the guild who have functions are only level 1 sorcerers. Like, they literally just use cantrips to light the lamps. And he's so refreshed to talk to somebody who is a sorcerer and who has these powers and who draws upon them. Like, it seems... He seems like he's opening up to you in a way that you weren't quite expecting.
Okay.
So he inquires a lot about the nature of your powers and where they come from and how you've used them and how you've caused them to grow over time.
I'm enjoying this story where I kill a bunch of Swaggin with my magical fire powers. So I'm gonna tell that story again, and I'm also gonna tell him about my my family heritage.
Okay.
Is Eldove now the guy with the one story to tell?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. He needs some more stories.
And he is delighted to hear a story about a real sorcerer in a combat situation. And he explains it's forbidden for the sorcerers in the Lamplighters Guild to use their, obviously for the public good, it's forbidden to use them in an aggressive or violent manner, but from time to time, Nich posted a picture of this sham. Now I have to click this, see what this is. Okay, so it's a flute.
A bullshit flute.
Nich, you could have just said a flute. If you would just
No,
said...
it's in the PHP. It's a sham.
It's a flute. Okay.
It's a sham. You don't respect any of my equipment choices.
I don't.
Like, I had a Caragul and you kept calling, oh, you got a hand axe. Now I have a sham and you're like, oh, it's a flute.
You got a hand axe, you got a flute. Deal with it. Okay. So he's delighted to hear your stories. And he explains how it's very illegal for a sorcerer in town to use their powers within the city walls for aggressive nature. Like, obviously, even the wizards from the school aren't able to come down and flout their powers in such a way. But I've always wondered the extent of which these powers could be used. And he demonstrates how he uses his powers to light little fires around, and he seems very proud of it.
I'm gonna say, just step back for a moment. Where do you have a fireplace?
He does not. You're in Qisca. I mean, you could...
He's a Lamplighters Guild.
He's got a lamp. Well, he could take you out to a street lamp.
That's not gonna do it.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna,
not.
Is there a courtyard?
Not in the market ward.
God damn it.
Kind of.
Well,
setting any fires in the market ward would be ill-advised.
yeah, I don't want to set any sick fires.
But I mean, you could do like cast a spell up into the air and discharge it as like a show of power. It might draw some
I'll
unwanted attention.
What the hell?
Okay. So what do you cast?
Oh, Scorching Ray.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's pretty showy. Why don't you describe what happens when you cast Scorching Ray?
Well, this is the first time casting my my new fire spell.
Hey Nick, can you post the Sham picture into the Twitch chat in case anybody there wants to see it? It's a flute, guys.
Sure,
I'm telling you, it's a flute. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
It's more closely related to an oboe.
Oh my god. Which is also a flute.
So
Don't ever listen to anything Rick tells you about music.
You discharge Scorching Ray. Like, what happens?
okay, so my ring starts to glow, and the dragon on it rears up and breathes out like this wave of fire that then two more that is then followed by two more as it flies into the sky.
Okay. And the Nodal is very impressed, and passers-by, they look a little frightened, but when they see it's a harmless display, you get a mild applause from it, and they go about their business. They think you're some kind of trickster or street performer. But the Nodal is very impressed. This is a power beyond what he can do.
So we head back inside.
Yeah.
And I say to him, you know, that I am a servant of the Prince of what's the name of the place again? Dunfoss, thank you. And as a half elf myself, I was surprised to hear that the Sand Elves do not fear very fondly of the current ruling Jarl here.
It's political in nature, to my understanding. There are the Sand Elf kingdoms in the deserts. They do trade with Qisca, and House Nibiri facilitates that trade. This is trade in wines and wood, mostly.
You know, I personally have some interest in trading with other races, and I say some of the trades that I've made with my house.
Okay.
And,
roll a quick charisma check.
Alright.
Roll it with advantage, because you've impressed him with your magical prowess.
Alright.
Yeah, you definitely needed that advantage, that's for sure.
Did you see it stay on that 20 for a second?
I did. That was almost good. Someone's typing furiously.
Sorry, that was me.
9 plus 5, that's 14.
Okay, that's good. So, he nods. This is very well. He asks, though. It's like, you're a half-elf yourself, but not half-sand-elf. You don't hail from the deserts. You hail from the woodlands across the ocean.
Indeed.
So, well, let's cut right to it, then. What is the interest in your visit today? What is it you came to ask?
I would like to ask what I could do to change the loyalties of the House Elves from House Nibiri to House Ikana. What is it? The
Astenu.
Not Astenu.
Yeah, the Jarl house is Astenu.
Yeah, Astenu.
Don't blame me. Blame the Egyptian name randomizer that I've been using.
No, I blame myself mostly. I wouldn't remember it if it was anything.
And he says, well, those of us elves who run guilds, we have very little interest in Qiscan politics. I find it base and tiresome myself, and I know many of the other elves in the town do as well. Mostly our support of Nibiri is with a loose alliance with each other. It would be very easy to sway any of us, I would imagine. He says, what I would like is an increase in the noticing and training of sorcerers within Qisca, to have some population of sorcerers here who can do the things that you've shown me. He's like, my powers awoke decades ago while you were still a child, and the development has not come to me. As I feel if the Jal would support some of these efforts, perhaps he could bring in trained sorcerers from elsewhere, perhaps he could give them favors or gold, or we could do something but light lamps.
I'm going to tell him, well, at the moment I cannot personally speak for the Y'all. You know, of course, that this is near and dear to my own heart, so I would be already, even without your support, encouraging the Y'all through my own contacts and through my connections with the Prince to do as you say.
He nods. Well, Nibiri or an Astenu makes really no difference to me, but if there's a chance that you can do as you say, I'm happy to support the Jal.
I thank you for your support, and would you be willing to introduce me or lend your own support in speaking to the other Sand Elf guildmasters of note in the town?
So I'll do you one better. As you say, you have trade contacts. Do you have any particular contacts with the Sylvan Elves across the sea?
I think so, yeah.
Well,
right?
You do not. I was very clear that you do not. But being half Sylvan Elf yourself, and this vote being so close that nobody could check in on it, you might be able to bluff it.
You know what? I'm gonna bluff it with the understanding of my characters going, well, this is even more of a reason to push that even further. Like, I'm lying, but I'm lying with the thought that maybe I'll make it true someday.
Okay, go ahead and make a deception, and also make this with advantage, because you kind of got this guy eating out of your hands. You're only level 3 sorcerer, but you're way above what he can do.
Okay.
That'll do it. That's
21.
Over 15. Yeah. Says, go and talk to Immeral. He is the Null of the emissary of the Luveneltor. The Luveneltor, that's just an elven word for Sand Elf.
Okay.
He is the Sand Elves he's an elected official from the Kingdom of Sand Elves who comes here to represent Sand Elf interests in the Qiscan guild system. Says he's been seeking to do business with these Sylvan Elves for over a century, but they're reclusive and they're distant. It's like, if you could be a foothold, the Luveneltor would be in your debt.
I'm going to thank him for his support and tell him that I will follow up on this.
Okay. I forget, whose turn was it previously? Orphans or Khalil's?
I think it was Orphans. He was doing the flute thing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
he bought a flute. Khalil.
I'm just kidding, Nick.
You go to the School of Senses, and you are able to hire an acolyte to cast a spell on you to change some of your features.
Okay.
And he teaches you a magic word that will dismiss it. So until the spell will last until you either dismiss it yourself with this magic word, or until you fall unconscious. And
dumb question.
Does that include falling asleep?
Right.
No, if you're not, I mean specifically knocked to 0 hit points.
Okay. All right.
It's not a PHB spell because there's no PHB spell that facilitates this, but it's a little bit more powerful than Disguise Self in the sense that it has a longer duration, but it's a little less powerful in the sense that your features haven't changed over much. Like you have to have like the same height, the same build. Basically, he's changed the color of your skin to be much lighter, the color of your hair, these kind of things. So the people who saw you on the ship previously today, your features are different. You'll be wearing different clothes. You'll probably be able to fool them.
Okay.
Unless they have some kind of magical detection. So this spell will last for 1 week, or till you're knocked down to 0 hit points.
Okay.
Good thing the captain's in another dimension.
And this took all of the money that you were given. You don't get to keep any of that.
Yeah.
And then
that's why I did not inquire as to how much money he was giving me. I was just like, "Yep."
Okay, so go ahead. And,
that's like the wad of cash from Earthbound.
Right. Alter the possessions on your character sheet in such a way that you are equipping yourself with what you want to have in your disguise, unless you just want to keep the same stuff. Like, what kind of armor does it say you're wearing here?
I believe it was...
I see common clothes. Yeah. Leather armor. Like, right now, the leather armor you're wearing is the uniform of the Wall Walkers. You would obviously replace that with more common-looking leather armor.
Well, I thought I'd switched over to something heavier.
Oh, that does not reflect it on your sheet. But you can go ahead and reflect that now if you want, or it just hasn't reloaded on the sheet.
Because remember, yet. I asked you if I could upgrade to something or other. I just don't remember what it was off the top of my brain.
I think it was splint mail.
No, it was not splint mail.
Well, whatever it was. Going back down to Low Harbor, it's easy to find this man Balin, who's doing some recruiting for the friendly Flumph, and he is having a tough time of it because two things. First of all, the ship is called the Friendly Flumph.
Yeah.
And second of all, there is a lot of buzz around town that one of the Friendly Flumph's officers was a dwarf who fought in the arena earlier this week. And a lot of the crewmen from the Flumph are being very vocal in their drinking and cavorting around town that they're not returning to the ship because they let this dwarf die and had the resources to revive him and did not do so. So not only is Balin having trouble recruiting more members to get onto the ship, but he's also having a lot of trouble retaining the crewmen that he already had.
All right, I will approach Balin and hey, I hear you're looking to hire crewmen for your ship.
He nods and he says, "True enough, true enough." Well, what are you armed with right now, and where? Like, how are you wearing your equipment?
I've got my longsword. I've got my mysterious new armor that I have to find. Yeah, scale mail. That's what it was.
Okay.
So I'm more decked out as that guy would be decked out as more marine than I would.
All right.
Sailor.
Than a sailor. Yeah.
He looks down at your weapon and says, "Can you handle that?"
You want to find out?
He laughs. He says, "I'm not threatening you, friend. I'm just making sure that you know how to use that thing."
Indeed.
Can you follow orders?
Absolutely.
Can you tie a knot?
Yes.
So I'm authorized to give you 2 gold to sign on for the ship.
Okay.
And he does so. He gives you 2 pieces of gold.
Ballin'. I'm writing that down.
He says, "Welcome to the Flumph, friend." And
where do I report for duty?
The ship's currently docked in the harbor. So there might be somebody there you can speak with. If you go aboard, look for a man named Swent, maybe Arvin. Captain's not there right now. Maybe Zook's not there either. I know Adric's not there. Adric.
Nobody's there.
That guy in the arena, right?
Yeah, the dwarf.
he was badass.
He fought well. He was a good friend.
Sorry to hear that.
So there'll be some rumors if you come across any of the crewmen about a necromancer and whatnot. But if you go to the ship, report to Orphan. He's a good man. He'll put you to work.
The fuck did I just sign on for? All right, off to Low Harbor.
And you, sure enough, you're back at the Friendly Flumph, and there's the ship.
Oh, it's Friendly Flumph. Okay.
Which is even dumber.
Yeah.
We're not a sports team. It's not the Fighting Flumph.
Okay, I've got 2 more important scenes to get through tonight, and 2 more hours before midnight. So what is your intention now that you're aboard the ship and a member of the crew?
Well, let me just get something straight. Is the boss wants me to I'm not exactly clear on what the boss wants from me on the ship.
No, you're not, and nobody seems to be clear about anything aboard this ship. Nobody's even sure who the boss is.
Well, I was talking about the captain of the guard.
Oh, well, he wants you to find something that
he's the one
he
I
can
owe.
use against Prince Humberth. He wants something to hold over the Jarl, so the Jarl has to listen to his demands. He thought he was going to be able to get things changed by supporting House Nabiri in this uprising, but the bottom of that has fallen out.
Okay.
So he wants you to snoop aboard this ship, find out something he can use against Humbirth.
All right.
Aboard the ship, you find Orphan and all the other familiar faces.
Oh, yeah, I was told here for work.
All the familiar faces you've never met.
Yeah.
And Orphan gets your name, puts it in the ship log. Yeah, he gives you some just menial chores to do.
Okay.
Aboard the ship. One curious thing aboard the ship is there's a woman aboard, Fila. And you don't know her name, but obviously you know who Fila is. And you don't see her very often. And usually when you meet eyes with her, she's very quick to duck under your gaze and find somewhere else to be. This is curious to you
not
because...
another stowaway?
she's not dressed like one.
Yeah.
I mean, she's dressed in common leathers, mostly. Actually, no. Tarin bought her finally. No, she's dressed in fine silks, etc.
Okay, then I wouldn't be as suspicious of her. But it is kind of weird that pirates would just have a chick. What is she, a concubine or something?
Roll wisdom, DC 10.
Uh, 17.
Oh yeah, she is definitely the ship's concubine. This is the captain's woman. You're very familiar with her type because you deal with the pleasure houses in town all the time.
Yeah,
Is the captain aware of that?
Destil's not aware of shit. He is oblivious to everything.
Alright, I will,
Let me tell you the good news of the Dark Gods.
So, looking for something to get on Prince Humbirth. Well, first off, I wouldn't know this, but his man, friggin' the Eldove has been falling in with this group.
Roll an investigation check, DC 15.
That'll 16 will do it.
Eldove's been in town for a couple of days now. Almost a week, actually. And he's been...
But
all of his dealings... when I was here, he did use the ship as a place to meet two noble people? Like, what's that about? He did. And also, because he's been in town for a week, and because he is very distinctly in the service of Prince Humbirth, and because you saw him on the ship, you conclude that the prince's man is an officer on this vessel. The prince's man serves on a pirate ship, essentially.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Eldove doesn't keep any possessions on the ship, just the one that he gave away.
Yeah, no, that's the only thing is...
Orphan asks you a lot of questions about, like, your past, your history, where you go, where do you come from, where are you going, that kind of thing.
Well, I'll dodge the questions about what my current employ is, but I will say that I was a former officer in the military.
He has a look of respect when you say that. All right.
What can you? So I will ask him. So what can you tell me about this that half elf guy? He was wandering around here not too long ago, I think.
At the mention of Eldove and the word elf, he spits.
Huh.
Because I don't like him. I've never liked him. I don't trust him. So I have no idea why the captain has dealings with him. If I had
Arvin sucks.
I love Arvin.
If I had my druthers, the elf and the prince would have been put to shore as soon as we got here, and that would have been the end of it. But he keeps coming around, and I have no idea why.
Do you think he might be in some kind of shady dealings or something of that nature?
Of course I do. He's an elf.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure racism will fly really well in court.
Not in Qiscan court. Qisca has great reverence for elves.
Yeah.
Many elven citizens are here. Many guilds are run by elves. The desert is almost totally peopled with elves. So, but on the other hand, Eldove is not a sand elf. He is a sylvan elf. So, you don't know much about sylvan elves. You know that They're reclusive, and they come from somewhere far, far across the ocean where you've never been.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arvin puts you to work. He shows you the crew quarters where you'll be staying. Tells you the basic covenant of the ship. So I don't know how much of it is still in effect with Captain Tarin, who changes his mind every 3 seconds. But this is the basic rule: is you get this much food, this much grog, this share of the prize, etc., etc. Gives you the rundown.
Seems equitable.
Did Orphan want to do anything else today, or can I skip to the Nibiri meeting?
No, I'll wait until the big celebration thing.
Okay, that's tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, because tomorrow is the main celebration in the arena, and that's when they're all going to get together. Kind of like they're having a private Super Bowl party, a little bit. So, if you wanted any more action today, this is the last chance.
I did suggest that the title of the stream be the Qisca Super Bowl. But I was turned down.
Is it about time that Orphan's maps would be done?
Yes, and I meant to have that map drawn for you, but I didn't. Like, I sat down with the software that I'm using, but I can't figure out how to use it, so...
That's alright. As long as... I don't need to, like, plan anything with the map this session, as long as I can go and get it.
Yeah. And I don't know, were you here the night that I drew out the map on the stream? To kind of show everybody how it fits together?
A little bit. Oh yeah, that's right. It's basically kind of a big old ocean in the middle, and then like everything just kind of spreads out from that.
Yeah, like I thought Nick was here for that, but if he's not, I can kind of go through that again. That'll only take a couple minutes. But yeah, your map is done. I totally forgot about that map until you just mentioned it, actually. Yeah, that was done days ago. So you have this map, and it's a very artistic map. You paid good money for this. It's beautiful. And the known lands, because the world is a giant ocean surrounded by a continent, and most of the known and populated lands are within like 100 or 200 miles of the shore. And the further and further away you go from the shoreline, the more and more abstract the map gets. Until you get into like, here there be dragons kind of things. These are unexplored lands where mortal people don't live. They're, like here on Romneus, which is where Qisca is situated, is a desert, and the further you go inland, it becomes populated by elves, and then more abstract fae, and then elementals beyond that, until the world ends in a wall of fire. Across the ocean, where Eldove is from, it's much greener lands. There are many forests and rivers, human settlements, a lot of halflings, and then it starts to become more and more mountainous, and you get into the Dwarven kingdoms. There are known to be vast Underdark areas with dark elves and Dilithids and things. And again, it gets more abstract the more you go out until the world just ends in a wall of stone.
Okay.
The only other feature on the map would be the islands in the middle, which is the islands of Brax, which you visited early on in the campaign.
Yeah, those were where we fought the toad and things.
And the ocean spreads to the south, much, much further. To an icy land, it would be the equivalent of like our Greenland. So it's very sparsely populated, and virtually nobody has been there, and eventually that is said to end in a wall of ice.
Okay.
So this Nibiri meeting then, unless Orphan has something else.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
I'll do one thing tomorrow before the celebration, but nothing else tonight.
So yeah, you are invited to dine with House Nibiri, much like you were your first night here, and it's mostly the same faces. And Marthod is there. Did you bring any guests?
No.
Okay. But yeah, Marthod is there, and he pleased as always to see you, and he says, well, we haven't seen your face very much these past few days, so I'm glad you were able to come.
I'm going to tell him that... Oh, in my just as an out-of-character thing, just so that you know what my character's, like, transitions are here.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking that even though he's trying to get any information he can here, he thinks it's a little... He doesn't think that these people are going to be... They're not going to tell him much, because he's going to make it very clear that he is going to support the prince.
Okay.
And he also thinks that it would be a little gauche of them to expect him to support them.
Okay.
Like, even though he has trade contacts with them, like, he is friends with them, he is not their vassal.
No, and your dealings with anybody in Qisca before, over the past however many years you've had dealings, they would absolutely understand that. These are lawful people. These people, they don't. I mean, they politically fight with each other and whatnot, but it's not like they're going to seek retaliation against you. They're not going to see it as a covert betrayal or anything of that nature. So the question is, I mean, they didn't invite you here to talk politics anyway. They invited you here because you're a friend of the family.
If they don't bring up politics, I don't.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Like, were you going to use it as an excuse to get any information out of them about any of these other guilds or about any of their other dealings?
Nope. I just completely respect the fact that they don't want to talk about politics.
Okay.
Eldove feels bad that he has to go against them, but he's not looking to betray them.
Okay. One of the diners, and he arrives late, already drunk, is Tall Aphobis, who you met very briefly when you went to his house. He is the Tall of House Hamu. A destitute house, much like yours. He has no finances, but he's still recognized for his noble status, and he still gets a vote. And he shows up drunk and a little irate, and they pleasantly try to put him at the table and make small talk, and eventually he has to be politely asked to leave. And as he's being escorted out of the house, he kind of looks back and shouts angrily and says, "Marthod, we had a deal and you've backed out on it." And Marthod retains his composure, but he doesn't respond in kind. And eventually they escort Aphobis out of the house. And the pleasant conversation resumes once the slovenly drunkard is taken away. So you're going to respect their desire to not talk politics? It's not that they're not talking politics, it's that that's not why they invited you. They're absolutely going to talk politics, because that's the nature of the thing.
Anytime things come up, I'll argue with them, basically. But, not in a rancorous way. Well,
the main disagreement that I perceive Eldove would have with House Nibiri is House Nibiri seeks to has consolidated a lot of power in winning the heart of the common man, and Eldove doesn't give a shit about the common man.
Yeah.
So, I see that to be the most abrasive part of the conversation. But, they don't expect you to betray the prince. They know, even if they don't win their political ploy, their wealth and their trade, they still have all of that.
Yeah, and the parts that I would disagree with is I would say things like how if the common man was given power, how could you expect them to hold to the same codes of loyalty as the nobles?
And there's a rigorous debate about it back and forth. Make me 3 charisma checks. Make the first 2 regular. Make the third one a disadvantage. The DC on all of these is 20.
And these are just charisma?
Yes, just straight charisma check.
Alright.
There's the first one. That's
a pass.
That's a pass.
That's a fail.
And one with disadvantage.
That's a pass.
Wow, okay. The night comes to a close. And you haven't really learned anything about their plans. Nothing you didn't already know. You get the sense that they're not doing anything underhanded. They're going around town making a lot of promises to a lot of people, and some of those promises are kind of breaking. They don't need all the votes they have, in other words. They feel very secure. Where do you stay tonight?
I stay in the palace.
In the palace. Walking back up to the palace, you hear calling after you, and it's very late at night at this time. Nalna Ranifru. She is an old woman. She's the older sister of Marthod. She's probably the eldest member of the Nibiri family. It's just she's a woman, so she doesn't retain that power. And she calls up after you at the street. She is the Nalna of the Guild of Justice. She runs the courts and legal administration, and has for over a decade. She says, you said something at dinner that really resonated with me. How, if we give too much power to the common man, how could we hold them to the same degree of loyalty that we hold the nobility? She says, what? I'd like to explore that. What did you mean by that? I couldn't ask you with my brother sitting there, but what's the nature of that argument?
I'm going to talk to her about how the nobility is given a lot of privileges, and these privileges are because they have earned them through their family having participated and having the training over hundreds of years.
She's like, quite agree.
How the common man hasn't had, through no fault of their own, has had no opportunities like this, and as such can't be expected to follow with it, like, because they don't have a family to guide them.
And she says, yes, I quite agree. And it's a point of contention between me and my brother behind closed doors. Publicly, I support him, and in the vote, I most likely will. But I don't agree with his concessions that he's making to the commoners. The nobility ruled Qisca for thousands of years, and look at the power and the wealth we've amassed here. The common man here is wealthier than anywhere else in Romneus. She said, I fear if my brother comes to power, some of this will be overturned. But I must ask you, the greater power that we as nobles enjoy, does this come with a higher sense of responsibility? If we misuse this power, what is your take on that?
I'm going to tell her that it does indeed come at a higher risk of responsibility, and that if it's misused, that it's the duty of those above us to replace the nobility if needed. So for her, that would be the Jarl, or for me, it would be the Prince. And
forgive me if I ask a question out of turn, but is that what became of your family back in Dunfoss?
I tell her that no, the downfall of my family has nothing to do with our lack of responsibilities, but at poor trade decisions made by ancestors of my family.
There's a man here in Qisca, the Gnoll of the Wall Walkers, Zahir. He feels that, and he raises to me in private, he feels that he doesn't have the teeth he needs when the nobles or the guild leaders overstep their bounds. He feels that they're untouchable by the law. And I have to agree. Unfortunately, when they go through the court system, they have lighter punishments, most of them, if anything, a pittance of gold. She says, and I feel that my brother will maintain these policies, and I would like to see them changed. I want the nobility to rule, but I want them also to know that they have to rule from a place of justice.
I'm going to agree with her and ask her... Who did she say that was? The Guild of Justice?
Nal Zahir, who was the Nal of the Guild of the Wall Walkers. That is Khalil's boss. The woman you're talking to is the Nalna of the Guild of Justice. She runs the courts.
Okay, that, in that case, I would like to speak with him about his views.
She says, I feel very conflicted. I feel that, in good conscience, I cannot support my brother's rise to power. But if I go against him, it will cause a rift in our family. It might cause us to lose some of our prestige. Certainly it'll cause us to lose some of our political power. But in the greater good of Qisca, you understand why I'm conflicted.
I tell her that she has to follow whatever decision that she feels is best, since she has to serve the dual masters of both being the head of the Guild of Justice and as being a member of the House of Naviri.
She says, well, I thank you for sharing your bit of elven wisdom with me. Your words really resonated. I wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
I'm gonna thank her for her kind words and for her information about the Nalzahar.
Okay. And with that, she takes her leave. Listen, if Nodal was any kind of man, he would have banged that old woman. That's all I'm saying.
Personally, I'm thinking it would be really funny if I go meet with her and we become best friends, and then fucking Khalil comes back and goes, "There's this fucking half-elf, man, and he's up to some shit."
He's just hanging out with pirates and all kinds of other shit. Oh, he's the boss's girlfriend. Okay.
I'm going to very quickly refill my Pepsi while you guys think about your actions for tomorrow. And
Okay.
I want to get to the party as quickly as possible. So, Eldove, you know of this particular party. And it's not open invitation. You can't just show up. But you do know that Fred is in good with this particular Nalna. You don't know that Orphan's been invited. And Khalil, you know the party as well, just because it's tradition in Qisca.
Yeah.
But you also, again, have no idea that Eldove or Orphan, what they're going to be doing. So think about what you guys want to do tomorrow. I'll be back in 2 minutes with some bubbly.
Okay.
Don't say anything horribly racist while I'm gone. Or do, whatever, that's fine.
So I'm kind of confused as to what Khalil's gonna do as to find some kind of dirt on Eldove there.
Personally, I'm glad that dwarf is dead because I don't know how I feel about dwarves.
Who's Khalil?
Khalil is my new character.
Oh, you mean Khalil? Okay.
Khalil. You asshole. Why don't you go play your flute and then throw your hand axe at a tree or something?
Hand axe is a throwing weapon,
It is.
much like many monk weapons I know.
Yeah, like I was saying to Austin the other day, Brickroad's disrespect for my weapon is so flagrant that I have now retconned it, and I don't expect him to care one bit because it has the same stats.
It's a short sword, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a hand axe.
No, I was like, Nick was like, "Who's Khalil?" And I was like, "Oh, he's my character." And he's like, "Oh, you mean Khalil?" And I was like, "Okay, fine. Go play your flute and throw your hand axe against a tree or something."
So, my first question for the next day, do any of the three of you intend to attend the Grand Arena and the big celebration that's going to be happening there?
No.
I'm too busy investigating.
Okay.
I don't want to go anywhere near that freaking arena.
You
I had
lost
some bad
so
memories.
much money. So much money. I felt bad because all week McDohl's been sending messages like, "Hey man, here's what I want to do if I win the tournament." And I'm thinking, you're like a level 4 monk. So, anyway, the next day.
Yeah, I know.
The reason why I didn't think he was going to win is because of your description is, this guy's level awesome, and you're level shit.
Well, that was the priest who came in and looked at Warrenax.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, who regrew his eyes and whatnot. Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so Orphan, you had something you wanted to do the next day before this party,
Right. So the last thing, as far as I know, that I want to do in the city is go to the Order of Future site.
Okay.
In the open bazaar and get my fortune read.
Okay. And you throw 50 rupees in the pond, and today you will have bad luck.
Big trouble. Big trouble.
Now, you go ahead and have your fortune read. You don't have any cause to meet the Nalna, but... yeah, that happens. They read your palms,
right.
And... I mean, they give you... the little gypsy woman who reads your fortune... well, they have several methods. I mean, do you have a preference? I mean, they can look for your future in a misty ball. They can do a reading with, like, Taraka cards. They can read your palms, or...
I will go for the cards.
Okay. God, now I wish I hadn't thrown those Persona Q cards away.
I've got some.
That's all right. I don't think I could. I don't think I could improvise. I don't think I could roleplay through a card reading anyway. I know I've known DMs who can in Ravenloft. I know they can do Taraka readings, just roleplaying. It's great.
I just pulled 5 cards, and they're all the upside down tower. Does that mean anything to you, or?
What does that even mean exactly? I don't
First
know.
of all, Orphan, like, are you predisposed to believing or not believing in this in fortune telling?
Oh no, like I'm all about fortune telling and fate.
Okay. Well, she does the card reading.
I'm gonna, if every city that has a fortune teller, I'm gonna get my fortune read there.
Okay. So yeah, you go to the bazaar, and you have your fortune read, and they have nothing good to say about it. They're saying that, oh, I see the devil is chasing you, and he's grabbing at your tail, and before long he will have hold of it, and then it will all be blackness and flame. Doom, doom, alas.
And I'm pretty shaken by this.
Yeah, it's not
Like
pleasant.
anything I want to hear.
No, it's
not a
pleasant.
good fortune.
This isn't what you wanted to hear.
Nope.
And this,
How much was that? How much did I pay for that?
a handful of coppers. I mean, this is a common.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a common thing they do in the bazaar. So if you pay 3 or 4 coppers,
All right.
easy enough. So yeah, that was not a pleasant experience for you at all.
Nope.
It very much sounds like this tail you're lugging around behind your butt is just really bad news. And it's already cost you your best friend in Qisca. So anybody else doing anything during the day before this party?
Well, I mean, the only other thing that Khalil could probably do would be to investigate or is to just try and find something in the ship that would link Eldove to this. And the only thing I could think of would be the ship's log.
Okay. See, the thing is, you're not supposed to have access to that ship's log, but this ship is is not patrolled, it's not defended, nothing's locked except the treasure room. Like you could just walk in and get access to the log, and pretty much nobody would see you. This could happen at almost any time of the day.
Whenever I have a moment, then I will take that thing and I will take it to my boss.
Okay. You do not find Eldove's name as far as the ship's crew, but you do see notes where the captain has apparently paid him a fair share of the ship's take.
That's exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for.
Because I'm looking at Destil notes now, and he's given he says adventurers get 1130. Is that right?
Yeah, I got paid
that.
for doing the trading.
Okay.
Yeah, and he also did get paid for that as well. So
yeah, Eldove
No,
is
that's what that was from. Because I didn't get paid for the fighting. I got paid for the trading.
well. The notes that Destil made in this log that Captain Tarin is keeping. He's not a particularly organized man, I get the sense. So he's definitely taken prize from the ship's take. So this ill-gotten goods
absolutely.
Yeah, the ill-gotten goods that this pirate ship had at one time, and he sees some itemized, like a suit of dwarf armor, and some fancy mirrors, and a war horse, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and Eldove was paid a considerable take of this.
Alright, then I will also suggest that we get a scribe to duplicate this page for evidence.
Okay. I mean, you don't even have to pay for that. You can just have that done.
Yeah.
If you bring that back
and
to...
then I'll bring that back to the ship.
Technically, the wall walkers, like their headquarters in Little Harbor, it's this tower here.
Wait, where is it? Oh, right here? Okay.
Yeah, technically it's down here in Little Harbor. Little Harbor also administrates this lighthouse out here, but I don't give a shit about that lighthouse, so...
Yeah.
I spent most of the session wondering what that lighthouse was, but I guess it's not much.
It's a lighthouse. It functions, but it's administrated by people in Little Harbor, but there's not like a guild that controls it, so...
You guys, I think we should go check out that lighthouse.
we'll do it next session when we've got 3 players.
Let's all ditch the party and go to the lighthouse.
Go to the lighthouse.
I have some serious thoughts about that lighthouse.
We'll have a Scooby-Doo adventure there. How's that?
So,
It'll
there
be
you go.
the ghostly gardener.